and
Maybe if
New
you
Year's Eve,
read
and New
it, you
Year's
could
safe
have
holiday,
avoided all
and
this,
an
Jer.
awesome.
Was it? No, the book was
This is
a Lolcow book, and he was
You
one
know
of the
what?
subjects.
Let's save this. Let's go to the next one. Yeah, he was one of the subjects of the Lolcow book.
Yeah.
Hey guys, Luther Morgan here, coming at you with another video about the quartering. How's everybody's weekend going? So Jeremy had a little bit of an oopsie over the weekend where he accidentally revealed that on his live stream that he basically sent in a report to YouTube, and he was caught in 4K, and he was once again trending on Twitter. But today I wanted to talk about and explain a little bit more in depth the stages of the Lolcow. So I released a video a few days ago talking about how, Jeremy, is he a Lolcow? And a lot of the comments in there were about like, how is he not a Lolcow? Of course he's a Lolcow. Why would you even need to ask that question? And I realized that I did not do a very good job explaining sort of my conception of a Lolcow. My conception of a Lolcow is not that it's a on or off switch. It's not, you're a Lolcow, you're not a Lolcow, on or off. I conceive of it as a metamorphosis. So if we look at the stages of the Lolcow here, at stage 5, which is responding to trolls, this is where Lolcow status begins. So Jeremy Hambly is a Lolcow. He just hasn't metamorphosized into 100% of a Lolcow. So if you understand, like, metamorphosis, classic example from like grade school science, like a butterfly. So you have like a caterpillar, it becomes, the cocoon, and then the cocoon opens up and it becomes a butterfly. So Jeremy Hambly isn't yet a butterfly, but he is going to be a butterfly. He is a Lolcow as it sits right now. That's the species of animal that he is. He just hasn't blossomed into the full-blown Lolcow that he eventually will become. Now, if you look at the stages of Lolcow here, so stage 5, responding to trolls, this is where Lolcow status begins. Stage 6, ironic viewership, hate watchers, rise of the detractors. This was Jeremy throughout fall and December of 2025, when the main A-log and detractor channel against Jeremy was Kino Casino. They're a pretty big channel on Kick, but they have not that big of a presence on YouTube. However, because Jeremy Hambly attacked and striked the Kino Casino, he is now at stage 7, in my opinion, which is cease being known for original content. So he's only known as like a flagger now. He's a flagger, he's a cuck, he's against free speech, and over the weekend and throughout next week, and probably for the next couple of weeks, which is an eternity in internet time, there's going to be multiple creators who come out and talk about this controversy. And not only that, but there's going to be tons of people who Jeremy used to associate with. Their fans, their audience is now going to be going to them and saying, hey, what do you think about the quartering doing this? So some of this has already happened. This is like Nerdrotic, those guys, they've already chimed in. Melanie Mack has already chimed in. Hannah Claire has not yet chimed in. You look at the CEO of Rumble. He's supposed to be a super free speech guy. What is his opinion about it, since, Jeremy has a Rumble contract? What about Count Dankula, Bearing, some of these other guys he used to do a show with? What's their position on the quartering? They're all going to come out and admonish his behavior, and he is going to have less and less allies and friends in the space. No one's going to want to work with him. So the real case, and if you can see right there in parentheses, it says algorithm only shows detractor content. So as a future prediction, guys, if you want to look at what's the future of the quartering, over the next 2 to 3 weeks, as more and more people cover the controversy, as more and more creators come out against the quartering and they make videos about the quartering admonishing him, will it push him and his content out of the algorithm? That's going to be the real question. I don't know. I think it's probably 50-50 in the next 2 or 3 weeks whether or not that's going to happen, because the quartering has a very big output. He puts out a lot of videos and he knows how to work the algorithm. When he was in his marketing job, that was his expertise, was search engine optimization or click-through rate optimization. So we'll see. Now, once I would still say that he's at stage 7. It's just as more and more detractors and people come out against him, it's going to push his content lower and lower out of the algorithm. And as his regular The Quartering videos get less and less views, they're naturally going to fall out of the algorithm because no one's watching them. It's going to be difficult for him to overcome like this inertial effect of no one's watching it, so the algorithm doesn't recommend it to people. What's on the horizon for Jeremy? What are the future Lolcow predictions for Jeremy? Well, that is stage number 8, which is irrelevancy and subsistence living. It's only a matter of time before Jeremy and his channel become a zombie channel. You could argue it's already going on, which it is. It's definitely going on. But it doesn't happen overnight. A lot of people want like this catastrophic collapse. I would say it'd be about 2 to 4 years. And then maybe in 4 years, we might see a bankruptcy arc. Now, that would be predicated on 2 assumptions. The first one is that Jeremy's wife doesn't work, or she's not employed, so they're a one-income household. I believe he said that she doesn't work, but he's an unreliable narrator, so I can't really trust that. And then number 2, this is also assuming that Jeremy's wife doesn't have like a rainy day fund that Jeremy doesn't know about or doesn't have access to, so he can't spend it, because he has very high household expenses. We've already covered on this channel how he has $10,000 a month in expenses. Well, that's just his mortgage. That doesn't include utilities, his health insurance, his taxes, all the things that he has to worry about. So I would say probably 2 to 4 years we're going to see his bankruptcy arc, because it's very difficult for him to curtail his spending. And I don't think that he's going to return to a regular office job. There's been no Lolcows that have actually done that unless they've been totally deplatformed, which I don't see Jeremy being deplatformed because his content is so milquetoast and boring. So what's going to happen with Jeremy is the e-begging is going to increase. He's been okay. If you watched Raw Quartering recently, he's been okay about scaling back the ads. My prediction over 2026, the e-begging will increase. He's going to do more My Channel's Under Attack videos. He's going to do more coffee company emergency videos. He's going to do more of these sorts of streams because his cash flow is going to decrease. And then especially if his Rumble deal expires, I think it's in June or July of 2026, that's really going to hurt him a lot. So he's going to become, more and more dependent on holdout fans. He's going to become more and more dependent on whales, sympathy supporters, stuff like that. However, I don't really think he has whales. It's not like DSP or, with his dents, or even like Ricada with like the wine moms. He doesn't have that many fans. So we'll see if like these whales come out of the woodwork to financially support him. Third prediction is the trolls and detractors are going to be infiltrating his streams more and more, and they're going to be pelting him with tomatoes. They're going to be sending him, these $5 super chats that are eventually just insults. Now, right now, he's going on a ban spree where he's just banning everybody. The problem is, as his financial situation decreases and as his viewership decreases, his ad revenue is going to decrease, and he's going to be more and more reliant on super chat income. So these verbal abuses, as Wings of Redemption would say, these insults got to be on the back of a $5 bill. He's going to start allowing more of these trolls and detractors into the stream just so that he can have some level of engagement, some level of income. It's not going to be good for his mental health, but for the sake of the finances, this is what he is going to have to resort to. So, in short, to summarize, what are predictions, Lolcow predictions for Jeremy? We'll see over the next 2 or 3 weeks whether or not Jeremy can get out of the algorithm, if all the detractor, A-logger, bigger channels than him or channels that are just as big as him, if they can displace him from the algorithm. I think that's probably 50-50, just because his content is so prolific. I don't mean that in a good way. Slop. He produces a lot of slop. 2, over the next, especially once his Rumble deal ends, the e-begging and the coffee shilling will increase this year. It'll go into overtime. Overdrive. It's going to become almost shameless. It's going to become like a meme in and of itself. And then probably number 3, he's going to become more and more dependent on super chat income, and he might actually, and whales, and he's going to engage with trolls in an attempt to get money. And then probably in about 2 to 4 years, we're going to start to see his personal finance situation seriously go down. So whether this be we get like a Boogie 2988 style, like I need your financial help video, whether it's going to be another Ricada like mortgage arc where his house is going to get foreclosed on, whether it's going to be a DSP style like bankruptcy arc, there's going to be something that happens there because he won't be able to afford his house because his house is $10,000 a month. I mean, it's ridiculous, the lifestyle that he has. So these are all future predictions for Jeremy. It's going to be a really rough 2 to 4 years. People want it to be like this big explosive downfall. With him, I mean, he does have the alcoholism, so he might go on one of these crash outs. But as far as his Lolcow arc into irrelevancy and subsistence living, in my opinion, it's going to take about 2 to 4 years, just because he is a really, really big channel. If you look at, for example, iDubbbz was a bigger channel than Jeremy because he wasted his time with influencer boxing and he wasn't making content, and now he's living in his mother's basement. That process, it still took like 2 or 3 years of financial decline for him to just be totally wiped out. I think that's probably about what's going to happen with Jeremy. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for sticking with me throughout this whole video. I wanted to kind of recalibrate my thoughts on like the Lolcow status thing. I'm not saying that Jeremy isn't a Lolcow. He's a Lolcow. He's just undergoing the metamorphosis of to reach his final form. So if you want to hear more about the Lolcows, kind of like the technical aspects of Lolcows or like Lolcows in theory, please check out Lolcows, the Internet's Never-Ending Tragedy. We talk about stages of Lolcow, traits of the Lolcow, the history of the Lolcow phenomenon, as well as Jeremy and his numerous grifts and his slow descent into Lolcow status, and as well as 5 other Lolcows. So if you love Lolcows, check it out. If you know everything, buy a copy, hand it to a friend. Maybe they can enjoy the hobby or the pastime of thinking about Lolcows. I appreciate you guys. Thanks for tuning in. I'll catch you next time. Hope everyone's weekend's going okay. Bye.